Welcome to the Bible for Kids podcast with your hosts, best-selling children's author Amy Parker and author and co-creator of VeggieTales, Mike Naraki. If instilling biblical values in kids is important to you, this podcast will help give you the resources, wisdom, and hope to do just that. Now let's join our hosts, Amy and Mike, for this week's episode.
Welcome back to the Bible for Kids podcast. I'm Mike Naraki.
And I'm Amy Parker. And today we have Erin Weidemann on the podcast, and we are going to talk about everything that her family is up to in just a minute. But first,
we like to start every episode of the Bible for Kids podcast with a Bible verse. And today's verse is, "Where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in abundance of counselors, there is victory." And that's from Proverbs 11:14 in the NASB.
So, Erin, that verse reminds me of you and Brent and how we first met, because when you felt God calling you into something big, you called up everybody you knew and you asked for advice and guidance. And now you've proven that in abundance of counselors, there is victory. But it also reminds me of your Bible Bellesseries too, because there's sort of an abundance of counselors there. And we're going to get into all of that. But listeners, as a means of introduction, you need to know that my friend Erin is the co-founder of Truth Becomes Her. She's a national speaker taking hope and worth to audiences all over the nation. She's the author of the Bible Bellesseries, a 5-time cancer survivor. She's wife to Brent and miraculous mommy to Rooney Cruz and another little bitty girl on the way. And we have been friends before Rooney even got here, both the fictional Rooney and the non-fictional, is that a word? Non-fictional Rooney. So maybe we should start there. First, tell us about the real and amazing Rooney Cruz. Her mere existence is a miracle in itself. Tell us about overcoming cancer to become a mommy to Rooney, just starting with the light stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, just very light. I grew up in church, never really felt connected to God. At about 16, I fell away. I just decided to do my own thing. So I spent about 10 years just walking on my own, thinking that there was no God, that I was in control of my own life. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed with cancer at 26 that I was just given this violent shove into reality to ask some of those questions that God really wanted to partner with me on, like what was I made to do? What about my creativity could God partner with and use to impact his kingdom? So I felt a wrenching in my soul for children. So I went back to school, still doing treatment, living at home with my parents. And I enrolled in a teacher credentialing program, was in the classroom for many, many years. And that's really where the genesis of our business came from. It's, I met Brent and dated through that weird, tumultuous time of having cancer a bunch more times and then meeting this wonderful man who wanted to pursue a relationship with you. It was just a weird time. But all that to say, 5 bouts of cancer. God healed me about 8 years ago. We have been blessed to be married for 10 years. We have a 6-year-old daughter and one on the way. And God's just poured out in his mercy, all of the blessings. And I'm excited to be here and just honored to even get to share any of this with anybody. I hope it's encouraging.
Oh, well, so you mentioned you were a teacher, and Brent was in marketing, and you decided to write a series of books called Bible Bells. So tell us why you needed to write those books and how you got started with that.
Yeah, I spent most of my time teaching, and talking to and mentoring, inside lunch breaks, middle school girls, 6th grade, and just found myself heartbroken for what they were experiencing and thinking, is there a way that we could connect them to the women of faith, the stories of the women of the Bible that could make it really accessible? It would be fun, entertaining for them. Their parents would be excited about a series like that. And so we went to our church bookstore looking for the cool books about women in the Bible, couldn't find any, but found a really cool book called God's Promises for Little Girls by an author named Amy Parker. And so my husband was like, we should email her. We've got questions and maybe she'll talk to us. And I was like, no, she's a famous author. She's not going to talk to us. And then,
they're in her ivory tower.
Yeah, he convinced me. He was like, no, just email her. She's a human being. And then we struck up this great friendship across the miles. And Amy just was so gracious to give us wisdom in that early season to try to help us figure out, this is what a book proposer can look like. And, this is, if you went the traditional publishing route, you'd maybe go this way. And God was steering us in a different direction, really challenged us to start our own company, our own ministry, because of the quality, because of some of the things that we wanted to do to really set it apart. But yeah, grateful for wisdom-filled voices. None more so than Amy Parker, because we talk about her often because we know that we got so much wise counsel and just love in that early season that's what helped us keep going.
That's awesome. And would you like to give our listeners Amy's email address?
If they work really hard, they can find it. And I, like, my husband's just, that's his challenge, where he's like, we'll just email her. I'm like, her email's not even listed. He's like, watch this.
Watch this.
And I'm pretty sure that my wise counsel consisted of about 2 words, which was keep going. You guys were on the right track.
You can do it.
Don't quit.
Yes. Because you guys were on the right track. You were following where you felt God was leading you. And who am I to say anything, to that, except just keep going and keep listening to God and following the path he's got for you. So eventually you both quit your jobs. You made this your full-time job, running your company from home, shipping books out of your garage, literally. So tell us what it's like building a business with your husband. What have you learned about yourselves and each other? Sort of both the practical and the sort of emotional growth that's happened there.
Oh, it's a dream come true, Amy. And I say that with sarcasm and then with total like genuineness also. I mean, We had that early season of, okay, we quit our jobs. We're going to work side by side together. We both work very differently and had very different jobs. Like I'm the writer, so I need like uninterrupted blocks of many hours at a time to create and write and do different things. And he's, building a pergola for our daughter in the backyard. At the same time, he's on the phone with someone while he's thinking of the recipe he's going to make for dinner. He's just that person. So there was a little bit of a learning curve, learning to work together. But gosh, I think about it all the time because we really get to share in the triumphs together. When something's hard, we can pray each other through it and really just talk with each other as spouses. I mean, I married this person. He's literally my best friend, my most favorite person on the planet. So it's really cool that God gives us a chance to partner professionally together so I can watch him operate fully in his giftings. It's just a really beautiful thing to be a part of and to have happen in our home where our daughter can experience the dynamic of family team, both personally and professionally. It's awesome.
Yeah. What an example that is.
And with the success of the Bible Bell series, can you talk about some of the feedback that you've had from girls and moms who've walked through the series?
Yeah, and those are honestly my favorite messages. Like I love getting messages from moms and dads and grandparents that just say, "Hey, I was looking for a way, number one, to make the Bible accessible for my daughter." It's a lot of the stories that are taught in the Bible are focused on the men, and we don't really hear the names of those females, and sometimes there isn't a lot of information about them. So I think they're really grateful for being able to make these women accessible, help their daughters see, them inside those stories, and then just get a couple of frameworks around conversations about hard things like beauty and identity and your purpose and how God wants to partner with you to build his kingdom. Like these are all exciting things for us as adult believers wanting to impress that wisdom and impart that wisdom on our children. So I'm super grateful every time I get an email or just a letter from someone that says, "Hey, I've had a breakthrough with my daughter. I've had a breakthrough with my granddaughter. I've been able to talk to her about things I couldn't before. I was just embarrassed or I didn't know what to say." And it's really helping people form these deep family connections in the lane of, well, let's take back God's definition of beauty and make it a little more reticent.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to just take a short break and we will be right back on the Bible for Kids podcast. We're excited about something new, the Bible for Kids bookstore on bookshop.org. This new store helps support this podcast, but more importantly, independent bookstores across the country who also receive a share of sales. Visit bookshop.org today and look for the Bible for Kids bookstore, or visit our website at thebibleforkids.com, where you'll find links to the bookstore and features from authors on this podcast.
Mike Naraki, co-creator of VeggieTales, is back. In his hilarious new chapter book series, 10-year-old Michael and his friend Justin sneak into the Dead Sea caves near the archaeological dig where Michael's dad is working. Michael finds a couple of 2,000-year-old squirrels petrified in sea salt. Hijinks ensue as Michael tries to bring them back to the U.S., hidden in his backpack. What Michael thinks are just cool souvenirs may turn out to be something much more. The Dead Sea Squirrels series is humorous, fun, and filled with character-building lessons. As co-creator of VeggieTales, co-founder of Big Idea Entertainment, and the voice of the beloved Larry the Cucumber, Mike Naraki has been dedicated to helping parents pass on biblical values to their kids through storytelling for over 2 decades. To find your own Dead Sea Squirrels, head over to Tyndale.com, Amazon.com, or your favorite bookstore.
Welcome back to the Bible for Kids podcast, and we're speaking with Erin Weidemann.
So eventually, Erin, Bible Bells grew into something much larger than just books. You've grown into a company called Truth Becomes Her. On your website, it's described as a worth movement. That's the first time I saw that when I was looking up to write these, questions and preparing for this interview. But a worth movement, I just love that. Tell us what Truth Becomes Her is and what you mean by a worth movement.
Yeah, Bible Bells really shifted about 18 months ago when I had spent time on the road and traveling around and speaking. And I was speaking to a lot of different audiences, middle school and high school kids with the Dare to Dream program. I was speaking at women's conferences and churches and moms groups. And I kept hearing from the adult women the same thing. They were like, we love your book series. This is awesome for us to have these resources. But where are the resources for adult women? Like, we want to teach leadership. We want to be able to influence and nurture these girls that are in our spheres of influence. How can we do that? We need a little bit of training. We need some studies. We just wish there were resources for us. And so we prayed about it and just felt like God was calling us to expand, to create some online digital resources, some different printed resources for women, moms and mentors of this next generation of girls to be able to teach worth. What does formal training about things like that are really abstract concepts like identity, and how do you increase her confidence, and how do you, give her a knowledge of not just Bible facts, but like really who God is, what is his character, and what does that mean for her own life? These are hard concepts to teach through. So we wanted to create a space online where we could champion worth, right? Not that culture would say, your worth is wrapped up in what you look like, what you wear, all of the things that you can place on top of your body. It actually comes from the inside, and it's what God says is beautiful. So really just shifting the perspective of women to be able to gather in a space, to grow a little bit in confidence in their own selves, to be able to teach and effectively shepherd this next generation of girls. So I love Truth Becomes Her. We have online studies. We have a private community group where moms and mentors can ask questions. And it's just a way for everybody to interact and say, yes, we love these girls. We want it to feel and look and be different for them. How can we do that? How can we partner together to get that done?
Yeah. And so we kind of skipped over Bible Bells and actually what, I guess, the message behind Bible Bells. And it stands for there's also this acronym HEARD. So will you go over that real quick? Talk about the characters in Bible Bells, and I love that Truth Becomes Her is just sort of an adult version of all the awesome things that the Bible Bells have to say to us.
Yeah, growing up in church and memorizing lots of Bible facts and then falling away, I have my rocky faith journey to deal with. And the Lord's been so kind to me in the researching of these women, right? Because when I had the idea for Bible Bells, I was like, oh, I'm not a Bible scholar. I didn't go to seminary. I'm a teacher. I'm a new believer. How do I even find out which women to include in this series? So I just spent a lot of time praying with the Lord and thinking through, okay, if we're going to teach character and positive virtues, I just landed on 5 women of the Old Testament. I thought I can teach it through these 5 women. They each sort of represent a quality of inner beauty, but they kind of build on each builds on the previous one to get a girl to leadership. So it goes prayer, patience, bravery, loyalty, and leadership. So if you're teaching through it, it's like bite size. An adult can pick it up and go, okay, character doesn't feel so overwhelming now. I can just do this a little bit at a time. And I put them in that order. And I realized that the women that represent each quality, Hannah, Esther, Abigail, Ruth, and Deborah, it spells, the acronym for each of their initials spells the word heard. Yeah. And for me, it was such a sweet confirmation from the Lord to go, as somebody who was like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I want to choose the right women. I want to choose women that are going to be powerful for girls. It just felt so confirming from him to say, I've always felt that girls are attacked via their voice. I've always felt like I couldn't express myself or be heard in the right way, or that I was misunderstood or not seen. And this is just something universally that girls struggle with. So to have that revelation and to look at that on the page and go, oh my gosh, like this is a powerful metaphor. Girls' voices do matter, but we need to sort of take that back. And it's not really about being loud and in everybody's face, right? In the way that the world tells you to be strong and independent and beautiful. It's really about using your voice in a way that glorifies the Lord, that will draw people close to him, that will reflect who he is, so you can be a good witness. So it was so sweet how God showed that to me in the research phase. And then I got so excited as the books came out to go, oh my gosh, girls are going to have this like moment where they realize that their voice matters. Is awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And you've been, before Shelter in Place, been out speaking a lot as well, as I understand. So what types of things are you finding that people need to hear from you, and what are you hoping to share with them as you're speaking to them at live events?
Yeah, I'm sort of in two spheres as far as speaking goes. And this is not something that I planned. I thought, I'll quit my job and I'll go share all the stories about everything. My husband said when he told me the first time, he was like, I think you're supposed to share your story. You've been through cancer 5 times, you're healed, you became a mom, and now we started this business. You're supposed to share. And I told him, I'm not a sharer. I'm not going to share with you. I'm not going to stand up on a stage.
You seem like I've known you for like 2 minutes, and you seem like a sharer to me.
Isn't that funny? I know. So counterintuitive. But I've spent sort of I'm in sort of 2 lanes on the speaking track. It's more about, helping people really see that God can meet you in your suffering. I think, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, like I'm going through something really hard. There's no end in sight. I have no control. God's not with me. And I'm just a walking testament of you can make all the mistakes in your life, but God still loves each of us so deeply that he can bring us back from anything, and he can pull us out of immense suffering where you believe there's nothing good that can come out of the situation, and God can turn it and not just make it a little bit good. He can make it so mind-blowingly good. And it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. Every day I wake up, I think about what God has done, and not just healing me, but changing my heart. The miracle, yes, is cancer, certainly, that I'm not dealing with it anymore, that I'm healed, that I'm having babies when I never thought I would be a mom. But, he can show up in the lives of other people too. So I think that's just my first ministry, is just to be an encouragement to people who are in their suffering and see no way out. And then the second sort of track is that leadership influence, moms and daughters, next generation of girl. What are we doing about championing them? How do we teach worth and beauty and identity when we're broken, when we're all grown-up girls who are just dealing with the same stuff as adult women? So really just getting in there, not being afraid to talk about the hard things women are going through and what that means, how we can transform and partner with God to change, and pursue righteousness, pursue God's kingdom, and what that's going to do in modeling great behavior and giving girls the examples they need so that life can be different for them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot to fit into one speaking engagement.
Yeah. So usually it's one or the other.
Yeah. I hear like a whole weekend conference or something coming out of this. Because that's a lot to, to change an entire paradigm in a 30 or hour speaking engagement. So, but it's something that's so needed. We've talked to other guests before about worth and identity, and just how it's not just a middle school girl thing. It spans the ages and spans the genders as well. So, it's such an important work that you're doing.
I love being a part of all of this. I mean, and as somebody who really dealt with insecurity and comparison and I missed who God said I was as a young person. I just feel like it's interesting that I'm in this space right now, and that God's really walked with me to show me a lot of different things. And it hasn't been like a full blown, I'll just jump in the pool and like do this big thing for God. He's so patient in the way he waits for us to just take little baby steps at a time. So I'm grateful for his patience to show me a little bit and how I can contribute and bless people.
Yeah. And you talk about patience too and timelines. So Rooney is 6, and this whole, business development, I guess, that we've been talking about has happened over the course of 7 years.
Yeah. From idea to book, it took about 3 years. That process took a really long time, but yeah, I remember walking around the trail by our house trying to think of what we would call our human baby, and at the same time going, we have this little character that we want girls to connect with. What are we going to call her? And it made sense for like the convergence of our professional, personal situation to go, like her name is Rooney and her middle name's Cruz because it's Spanish for cross. I taught Spanish for many years, and
Nice.
we wanted everything about our own human daughter to reflect Jesus, and this character, hopefully, that girls can connect, that girls are connecting with, will just mean something to them in a way that's not just, wow, this character is really entertaining, but it's really showing them something about who they are and what God wants to say about them.
And it's funny.
I was going to say, I feel like I missed the opportunity to name our daughter Larry.
Oh, no. He probably appreciates that.
Yeah.
But she's what, Alejandra?
Yeah.
So there's
my wife is native Spanish speaking, so I can relate to that.
You didn't just go rogue and like choose a traditional Spanish name.
Yeah, Alejandra Marie is what she's. Yeah, Alejandra Marie Larry.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Erin Weidemann on the Bible for Kids podcast.
Where is Wisdom? Where is Wisdom takes us on a creative tour through the beautiful truths found in Job 28. I don't know about you, but the book of Job can be a challenging read. Yet Scott James gets to the heart of the poem that Job 28 is. He so simply yet creatively shares the message that the greatest treasure is found in God and in the wisdom that He alone can provide. A truth that everyone needs to hear.
Epic Devotions, 52 Weeks in the Story That Changed the World, is a collection of insightful devotions which explore biblical events in a way that is relevant and exciting. You'll enjoy B&H Kids Book's special feature, Parent Connection, an easy tool to help you engage in meaningful discussions with your family. Available everywhere books are sold. Don't Forget to Remember. Ellie Holcomb's newest children's title, Don't Forget to Remember, is the perfect Easter gift for your kids this year. Teach them how to look around and find reminders of God's great love for them everywhere they go. And similar to her first book, Who Sang the First Song, Ellie has a song to go along with Don't Forget to Remember, which you'll enjoy singing as you flip through the beautiful pages of the book. Both the song and the book are available wherever music and books are sold.
Welcome back to the Bible for Kids podcast, and we're speaking with Erin Weidemann.
So, Erin, as I was looking at the Truth Becomes Her website, I noticed you guys have a ton of free resources, blogs, podcasts, and of course, all your products are there too. But the blog and the podcast, are they extensions of this Worth movement? What kind of information can we find there?
Yeah, just helpful tips and tools and strategies to guide your daughter and the girls you mentor to develop essential leadership traits. So things like empathy, collaboration, how to teach the skill of vulnerability, right? And a lot of girls and women might say, well, I'm not a sharer, right? I don't want to be vulnerable, versus actually viewing that as a skill that can be developed over time. So we've got content there that will help girls and women understand more about how God wired them to think, to feel, to process information. So we really just wanted it to be a resource where moms and women can go to say, I want to get some training. I want to get some knowledge about why my girl is experiencing certain things, maybe some tools I can use to guide her through problems that she's facing, challenges, and just have a couple of frameworks for the way we interact that are going to be really super positive. And then the podcast, the Heroes for Her podcast, is just it started as an extension of the Bible Bells series, where if Bible Bells highlights biblical women and wants to connect girls with those stories, Heroes for Her is a way for them to connect with the women of the here and now. Like, where are the women? I know lots of moms and adult women out there always look around, at culture and the media and everything and go, gosh, where are the heroes for girls? Like, where are these role models? I have to sift through culture and find them. And so we just wanted to house the stories of positive, faith-filled women in one place where girls and moms could listen in and get some good information about, there are women out there who love God, who are excited to partner with Him. Some of them are stay-at-home moms. Some of them are authors. They're artists. They're just regular folks. They maybe don't have a huge platform or a huge following, but certainly they're walking in faith. They are guided by God's purpose for them, and they're just willing to share. So it's really fun to be able to gather those women there.
Yeah. And sometimes it can feel, just a faith journey, or if you're putting Christian content out there, it can feel lonely at times. And so just to have that constant reminder that those people are out there and we're all on this same mission together, that can be really reassuring.
Yeah, I love hearing those stories from people. I think because everyone's story is different. The way God walks with people is so unique and original for them. It's fascinating to be able to get a glimpse inside the life and experiences of each individual woman. They're so different, but we're also connected at the same time. It's such a blessing.
Yeah. And you mentioned identifying those heroes. And I was going to ask you about your homeschool course called Heroic Homeschooling. And that seemed like a really natural fit for a former traditional school teacher. So can you talk a little bit about that? What can parents expect from your course, and maybe how it's different from other homeschool offerings?
Yeah, I kept getting messages over the last several weeks. I had probably 200 emails from moms who were like, I know you homeschool. I know you were a teacher. What am I supposed to do? I'm homeschooling my kids. My work just sent me home. I have no notice. I have no budget. Help me. Yeah. We put together a video training series. It's essentially a mentorship series with videos, how-to guides, private community to be able to ask questions, and personalized mentorship. So because everyone's got a unique situation happening at home, right? Some of us have multiple kids. Some of us have special needs learners. There's a lot of different dynamics at play. Some of our siblings don't get along, right? And now moms and dads are home trying to juggle all of this stuff, don't feel trained, don't feel adequate, aren't experts, quote unquote. But certainly just gathering in one place and saying, okay, what are maybe the 6 things I can do a little bit at a time to set up an effective learning environment at my home? How can I get my kids acclimated to at-home learning when they're not used to doing that? How do I find the routine and rhythm that's going to actually work for my personal situation? What do I do about curriculum? What if my school didn't give me any lessons, or the lessons they gave me aren't appropriate? What am I supposed to do about finding lessons online? These are all the questions I was getting. So I thought, gosh, I can figure something out. So the mentorship series, it's 6 videos, 2 bonus videos that have to do with choosing curriculum and breaking traditional school rules. Like, you don't have to do school at home for 8 hours a day, everyone, in case you didn't know that. They're going to get it done very quickly, and they're going to have a lot of downtime. So what do you do at the downtime? All of that stuff. How do you rotate them through? So it's been great. We opened it 2 weeks ago and have had hundreds of parents join us, moms and dads and grandparents, the people who are on the front lines at home trying to figure this out, and just be able to ask questions and say, okay, here's what I've got going on. Can you help me? And our team is able to get back to them, an hour or 2 later and say, here's some links, here's some tools, here's what you can try. And it's been such a blessing to think about how to take what I know as a professional teacher and now a homeschooling mom and kind of merge those 2 things to help parents in this season. It's been awesome.
Yeah. And it's really unique too, to have that sort of live feedback, because every situation is not a one size fits all. So you can't just really go out and take a generic homeschooling course or read generic homeschooling material. You have a live human being who's willing to, if nothing else, empathize with you, but maybe even offer some solutions to your unique situation that you've got going on at home.
Yeah, and parents don't have time right now to search the vast ocean of the internet and try to find something that's going to make sense for their family. It's just nicer to say, you're a live person. I've got this problem. What do you think about, I've got 2 kids. They're at these age levels. How do I rotate? What do I do? One needs a lot of support. One needs no support. Do they work at the kitchen table? What's supposed to happen? So I think parents just need permission to really curate the situation in their home that's going to work best for them. And to see this time as a time of freedom and choice and excitement, rather than, it's such a blessing to have our kids home to invest in them in this way. And it's not a burden when you shift your perspective. It doesn't have to be scary. Yeah.
So where are you going from here? I know you well enough to know that there's a 5-year plan. So where are you hoping to see the Bible Bells go? Where are you hoping Truth Becomes Her goes from here? Even the homeschooling thing, is that going to be developed more? What can you share about that? Because I know there's a plan.
So the plan right now is I just turned in to our editor friend, Julie, who I love. Thank you for introducing me. Again, Amy Parker is just, I'll sing your praises till the day I die. I turned in my last manuscript to her for the next installment of the Bible Bells Rudy Cruise adventure. So it's called Ringleaders, and it identifies 6 women of the New Testament And if the Herd series helps girls understand, God's given you a powerful voice, he wants you to use it. This next collection of stories helps answer the question, what is the message girls are called to deliver? What is the message? So it is the gospel. So I'm really excited to highlight 6 women in the New Testament, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, and to help Rooney understand what that means for her and get her excited about going out and being a patron of the gospel. It's really, really exciting to create that and sort of bring a holistic, Old Testament, New Testament, merge those two things together and give parents a comprehensive way to teach through some of these things. So that book's coming out in October. We're relaunching the Heroes for Her podcast. I can't disclose any details right now, but in a couple of weeks, it will come out in a new and big and exciting way. So super excited to expand all of that. And then we're just going to pray through all of the different ways that God wants us to partner with women in the seasons that are coming. There are a lot of requests for things like teaching through anxiety and worry and some specific things that girls really struggle with. Not that everybody doesn't, but there are just some issues that I'm going to be praying about and really inviting other expert voices to come in and teach on some particular topics. We have a great study on technology with Arlene Pelican that really went well. And it was sort of like a niche, these are the problems that moms and mentors are facing on the front lines. So we really want to be intentional about what our audience is telling us and then create resources that are really going to be blessing to people.
That's great. And I know people are going to want to know more about Truth Becomes Her, the Bible Bells, and both the Rooneys in your life. So can you tell listeners how they can best connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, the best way for the company side is just truthbecomesher.com. That's where all the books are, the resources, and to connect with me online for encouragement and hope and just to find out about our crazy life as kingdom entrepreneurs and people who love God and our growing family. On Instagram, it's Erin.Weidemann, and on Facebook, it's Erin Weidemann Official.
And spell Weidemann.
Weidemann.
And as I learned, it's Weidemann as in vitamin.
When I taught kindergarten Spanish, they were like, "What's your name?" And I thought, just call me Mrs. Weidemann with it, and we'll add the W later.
That'll come later. I always tell people it's Rocky with a N. So no, Rocky.
Gotta have this.
And if you talk German, it would actually be vitamin, right?
That's right, Meadowman.
Yeah.
which is like VeggieTales in German is WeggieTales.
Oh, I like it.
No.
It could take a totally different turn.
Yeah. Isn't there? Okay. Yeah. Rabbit trail. But there is a book or a book series, Vegetables Wearing Underwear or something like that.
Really?
Anyway, yeah.
This I do not know of. Yeah.
You should check it out.
Okay.
Amy wrote it.
No, Amy did not. No. But thank you so much, Erin, for taking the time to hang out with us today. And listeners, we are always giving away free stuff on the Bible for Kids. To see how you can win, follow us on Facebook or Instagram at The Bible for Kids. You can also learn more on our website at thebibleforkids.com. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for another episode of The Bible for Kids.
Thanks for listening to the Bible for Kids podcast with Amy Parker and Mike Noraki. Be sure to connect with the Bible for Kids on Instagram and Facebook and at thebibleforkids.com. We'd love to hear your comments and ideas for future podcasts. You can email us info@thebibleforkids.com. The Bible for Kids podcast is part of the Way Nation Podcast Network. Find more podcasts at waynation.com.